first ever YouTube video, so please be gentle. I'm still learning, and I apologize that the lighting changes throughout the video just a little bit. I'm working with natural daylight here, and the sun has been going up and down, so it might change a bit. So my channel is going to be mostly makeup videos. I'm also interested in hair and in skincare. So yeah, it's gonna be, you know, interesting just seeing what I'm able to come up with. So what I decided to do today was kind of my, like, I don't want to say basic everyday makeup because it's a lot of steps. It's a lot, but you know, it takes a lot of steps to do full coverage. And the reason why I picked this for my first ever video is that I struggle with acne on and off quite a bit. I've struggled with acne for years and years, and just when I think it's going really well and it's totally cleared up, breakouts will hit me just totally out of the blue oftentimes. They're hormonal. You know, if I'm experiencing menstrual symptoms, if I'm getting my period, I'll have a breakout, or I'll eat something and I'll break out, or if I'm not drinking enough water, or, you know, for any number of reasons. So it's something that I struggle with all the time. I wish I could say that it's, you know, gonna go away, but I feel like when you struggle with acne, you kind of always struggle with acne to some extent. So some days are better than others. Right now, not as good. So if you're interested in seeing how I cover all of that, if you're interested in seeing this look, just keep watching. You know, if you like it, you can subscribe to my channel. That would be awesome. And I'll also put my Instagram link down below if you're interested in following me on there. I'll try to kind of keep the two synced so that when I do looks, I'll post them on Instagram to let people know that I have a new video up. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and stay tuned. Alright, so this might go without saying, but always make sure that you start with a clean canvas, meaning I always freshly wash my face before putting any makeup onto my skin, and I do my skincare routine. So today that was a face wash, a toner, followed by a moisturizer. Usually what I like to do is my skincare, and then I like to do my makeup about 20 to 30 minutes later. What that does is allows the products to soak into my skin a little bit, but if I wait too long, then what happens is they've dissolved so much that I might not have a great base for my makeup. So my skin errs on the dry side, so I always like to be sure that, you know, before and during application of makeup, I make sure to keep my face hydrated. That way I don't end up with any dry patches or any places where my makeup will not apply evenly. One of the things that I like to keep on hand while applying my makeup is this. It is the Badescu Rose Water Spray with Aloe. This stuff is amazing. It basically, it just hydrates, balances, refreshes. The next thing that I'll do is a primer. This step is optional because I am experiencing this breakout right now. Because my face has this redness to it, I like to do some color correcting for that. The product that I use to do that is the NYX CC Cream. This is the color correcting. This particular shade is light/medium. They don't have a big shade range for this. I think they only have 3, but what it does is just neutralizes the appearance of redness. So what I do is I just take about so much, and I just put that all over. And what I do is I like to do a layer of concealer before I go in with any foundation. The one that I'm using right now is the Becca Dual Coverage Concealer. In a compact. This one is in the shade Latte. They actually have is 2 shades in this compact. So you have one that says extra and one that says medium. So that extra one is just basically a little bit of a thicker consistency, fuller coverage. Medium, of course, is a little bit lesser so. And this has a really thick, almost a paste-like consistency. It's quite thick. So what I do is I will go in and put that on any blemishes, circles, and then just take your beauty blender, which this is already wet. Be sure to wet it with every use really quickly. And then I just go in and blend. And I have several foundations that I like. This is the one that I'm using at the moment. It's the Cover FX Total Cover Cream Foundation, and I have the shade N20. What I mix it with are the Cover FX custom cover drops, and these are absolutely amazing for those of you who need a lot of coverage in your routine. They're basically pure pigment, and what you do is you can add them to any other product that would go on your face, whether it's moisturizer, primer, foundations, and what I do, because the cream foundation is just that, a cream, and it's in the compact like this, I just use my fingers to put it onto my face. So just making little dots with it. And this is a full coverage foundation, and by no means do you need to mix the drops. I like the drops. I like a lot of coverage, especially when I'm experiencing breakouts, which I am now. You know, my only gripe with the drops really are the packaging. It twists open like this, and it's like a little dropper. I find that when I twist this closed, sometimes the product squeezes out the edges of the cap, so be aware of that, that it's a little bit messy. I take out of the dropper, and I usually just put the dropper directly onto my skin. Now, of course, if you want to, you can mix this on a little mixing palette, which I have done. For the purpose of today, I'm not going to do that. Sometimes what I will do is I'll just go in a little bit with my fingers to kind of just mix the drops into the foundation. So then I would just go in and blend, and with the Beauty Blender, you always be sure to bounce this off of your skin. You're never going to be dragging it across the skin. And I typically like to start towards the center of my face and work my way out. When I get towards the edges of my face, what I like to do is take this and roll it like this. And what that's going to do is, if you have those little baby hairs, it'll just pull the product out. And you want to bring it down your neck as well, so you don't have a line on your jaw. And the last thing that I do for foundation or concealer is under eye concealer. So the one that I'm currently using is the Tarte Maracuja, I think that's how you pronounce it, Creaseless Concealer. I like to take this concealer, by the way, has a very thick consistency to it. It's not like a paste like the Becca one is, but it's pretty thick. It does need quite a bit of blending, and I do think that a damp beauty blender is your best bet to blend this one out. And what I usually do is I go under my eyes and I almost create like a V shape, and I go out. It looks like a lot, and it is a lot, but that's what I like. That's kind of my style. Now, you also can take this concealer and you can put some down the bridge of your nose, up here, totally optional. As you can see, I did not use very much. I'm not really gonna be doing any like cream highlighting and contouring today. I can do that another time. So kind of an example of how you can highlight that area using concealer. And you wanna blend this out. So all right, so we have blended our under eye concealer, and the next step is what I call baking. So, well, not what I call, that's what everybody's calling it. Baking is basically just setting your face with powder. The reason it's called baking, I have no idea why it's called that, but basically you're putting powder on your face, you're letting it sit for a few minutes. One that I like is the Nye Luxury Powder in Cameo. Now, what I do actually to apply this is I use a dry beauty blender. So as you can see, this is a Pro, a different one. The reason I use a dry beauty blender is I just find that the sponges are easier to apply it. I literally just shake the powder onto the beauty blender. I wish there was a way to do this without making a mess. I usually make a huge mess when I do this, but what else is new? So I go and put this under my eyes. I get to put some down the bridge of my nose, the places that you would normally highlight, the places that the light would hit. and my forehead. What this really does is it kind of just, it seals your makeup into place, and basically, especially for the under eyes, it's gonna make sure that your concealer doesn't crease off during the day. So if you have a problem with your concealer creasing underneath your eyes, this is an excellent way to stop that from happening. And other places that I'll do, around the mouth a little bit, not too much, and also sort of creating a line where you would contour. You carve that out when you do contour. And then next I'm going to prime my eyes, and I'm using MAC's Paint Pot in Painterly. And there are not a ton of MAC products that I would say are a must-have for me or a repurchase product, but this is one of them for me personally. I'm going for some very neutral eye makeup. I'm using the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette. And what I use is a deluxe crease brush from Real Techniques to do that. Any brush will do as long as it's not too dense and not too fluffy. Next thing I do is I take a crease color, or a transition color I should say, into my crease. I use this peachy shade right here. I'm using a Delium Tools 777 brush to do that. Transition shades are always important, especially if you're going to be going back in later and adding more color. I'm not adding really much color, but this will just bring some definition into the crease and kind of just sweep that back and forth. I'm taking this taupe color, which is all the way on the left-hand side of the palette, and I'm just going to be taking that Real Techniques crease brush and just putting some of that into the crease. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tight line my eyes, and if you don't already tight line your eyes, you should. I don't want to say that I'm telling you what to do, but I'm telling you what to do. You should always tight line, whether or not you're wearing eyeliner. What it does is closes that gap where if you apply eyeliner on the upper lid and you don't apply any right here, there's going to be a visible gap, and I don't know about you, but that really bothers me. So what you do is you lift and you just put that liner right there. So use any eyeliner you'd like. I use pencil, I do not use liquid or gel for this. I feel like that would be dangerous. And you can just see the difference between an eye that is tight lined and an eye that is not. For mascara, so I'm going to be using the Shiseido eyelash curler, which if you are looking for one that is absolutely amazing, recommended 100%. The shape of it is sort of like an almond shape. It's a little bit elongated, so it works really well to grab every single hair on your lashes. Then I'm going to be using the Dior Show Maximizing Lash Plumping Serum. This stuff is basically a base for your mascara that will help to plump your lashes. It'll just make any mascara look amazing. Then for mascara, I'm using the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. Spoiler alert, it's not. But it is a good mascara if you're looking for a high-end mascara. A lot of people hate this mascara. It's all in the application. I know it's kind of a love it or hate it one. You cannot apply too much. If you apply too much, it will look terrible. 1 to 2 coats is all you need. So I'm gonna do that now. Much as I'm sure you've all enjoyed this powder on my face for the majority of this video, we're gonna go ahead and blend that in. I'm using a fluffy powder brush from IT Cosmetics. I think it's actually supposed to be a blush brush, but you can use it for powder as well. Just go in and blend that shit. I have now come to the point where I'm ready to do my eyebrows, and you probably have one of two reactions, either fear or excitement when it comes to doing your eyebrows. remember that eyebrows are sisters, not twins, but you know, it's okay to get pissed off when they aren't twins and you want them to be. So there's a few different things that I use. Right now my favorites have been the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. The shade that I use is Taupe. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow, also in the shade Taupe. Another favorite of mine is the NYX Blonde Brow Gel. At the moment, I've been liking the Dipbrow. You know, I honestly like them both, and I feel if you would like to spend, you know, $8 instead of $18, go with the NYX Brow Gel. It's awesome. They spoolie through. I like to just trace, outline just a little bit. Then I go in with the Dipbrow. You only need just a very small amount of product. Very small amount is going to go a very long way for you. So I usually dip in the brush, wipe off the excess, and try to use only a very small amount. I usually like to start more towards the tail. And you want more product towards the tail, usually a little bit darker, and you don't really want to add any towards the front. Usually just go in and very lightly blend that out. Next, when I have a shape that I'm, you know, at least somewhat okay with, I shape the bottom using the NYX Wonder Pencil. This is kind of a multi-use product that can be used to highlight different areas of the face. I love it for underneath my eyebrows. You also can use it for your Cupid's bow, you know, wherever you want to use it. Put it wherever. I basically just make a line underneath my brow. Flat-edged concealer brush. And you blend that out. That's all you do pretty much. There's a little bit of contouring, just a very small amount. This is the Lorac Pro Contour Palette. I like this, you know, I do. I don't know how to describe it. The powders are soft, finely milled, they're easy to blend. It's good. I used to have it on. I am using the Real Techniques contour brush. Just putting some of this on my cheekbones here. I'm using the light shade. And I'm just going up a little bit into my temples here. Ridge of nose, jawline. And just gonna blend that in using a fluffier powder brush. Next, some blush. This is Lovecloud by MAC. It's a great cool tone pink. Least, probably last but like most important, is highlight. If you're a fan of highlighter like me, this is Moonstone by Becca. It's just a beautiful, sort of a very pale white gold color. So, you know, their shades can be somewhat universal. I will say that Moonstone is probably best for lighter skin tones just because it might look a little bit too bright if you have darker skin. And then I'm using a Hakuhodo powder brush to apply. Here. Onto my Cupid's bow underneath my lip. You do not have to put it on your forehead. I just really like to glow. You want to be careful to put shimmer over areas where you have that. So the areas on my cheeks here where I do have some that's still visible, I do try to be aware of that, and I try not to overly apply it. So I usually like to go a bit higher up on my cheekbones just to avoid that. But of course, if you don't want to use highlight that has a lot of shimmer in it, you certainly don't have to. A really subtle, beautiful highlight that does not have shimmer in it are the Ambient Lighting Powders by Hourglass, and I think those are a really wonderful option for anyone who wants to have a little bit of a glow but doesn't necessarily want any shimmer on the skin. That's a great option. So that is the final look, and I took my hair down. I was in a braid before. As you can see, my skin is glowing. You know, you can still see where the acne is. It's not like completely invisible, but I find that this level of coverage still gives me a fairly natural finish, and I don't have any dry patches on my skin where I have that. You know, it's pretty blended in. This is pretty natural. This would be great for, you know, daytime, going to work. This would be great for, you know, wearing to school, anything like that.